Today's session is really one of those show and tell style sessions. So we have an amazing panel of Docebo customers who are going to tell us how they're bringing beautiful learning platforms to life. So joining us today, we have Alec Oleshkevich from Acoustic. We also have Daniel Ferretti, Program Manager of Learning Technology at Netflix, and Kelsey Perez, Learning and Development Business Partner at Wilson HCG. To the three of you, welcome to The Road to Inspire.
Welcome. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Yes, excited to be here.
So as we kick off today, the format for today's session, we're going to have each of our three panelists just tell you a little bit about their programs, maybe show off what that beautiful learning platform really looks like. And following that, we're going to have a Q&A session. So with that, Danielle, I'd love to hand it over to you and kick us off for this week's session.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rob. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Ferretti, and I'm a Learning Technology Program Manager at Netflix. I've been a Docebo customer for a couple of years now, and I just wrapped up my second implementation. I mainly support the customer service organization within Netflix, but I also work with other teams. Many of you are probably wondering, Netflix customer service. Yes, we have over 6,000 customer service agents across 27 global sites. Customers can call, chat, or even post on social media to get support from Netflix. Customers will reach out for all types of support. They may have a technical issue, or they may just want to call in and chat about a new show or movie that we launched that they love or they hate. Whatever it is, we are there to support our customers. We receive on average 45 million contacts a year. So here you'll see our main user dashboard. We designed it to look similar to the Netflix product. I know you're probably surprised to see a dark background because this is not out of the box with Docebo, but it is possible with a lot of CSS. We use the HTML widgets to create the banner and buttons and the channel widgets to display content. My list will show all the courses the user has been enrolled in, but has not yet started. And then beneath my list will be in progress, which will show any courses the user has been in, has started, but has not yet completed. And then the last row on the dashboard is my learning history, which shows all courses the user has completed. We chose to add buttons beneath the banner to allow users to access key areas in the platform. So you'll see my courses and learning plans, my activities, and a continuous learning library. So this has proved to be very helpful for our users. So our agent new hire training is a learning plan made up of 10 different courses. Here's an example course. We use the Articulate 360 suite of tools, mainly Rise, to build out our content. It really works seamlessly with Docebo. In addition to our new hire training and our just-in-time training, which is based on product updates, and these are both mandatory, we also have continuous learning. So, as I showed on the dashboard, there is a link to a continuous learning library where agents can self-enroll in courses. So here's an example. We have a whole assortment of courses that they can click into. They can see what the objectives are of the course and what content it contains, and then they can self-enroll. We've, again, received amazing feedback on this feature, just giving agents autonomy to choose what they're interested in for self-development. So our implementation journey started back in January of this year. This table shows all the different phases we went through during implementation. So the first phase was planning. During this phase, we set expectations and goals for the implementation and made sure we had all the resources we needed. The second phase was configuration. During this phase, we made decisions on user roles and permissions, grouping and branching strategy, dashboards, notifications, content organization, and much more. The third phase was integration. During this phase, we established single sign-on and set up a daily automated user data export from our CRM to Stream University. The fourth phase was migration. During this phase, we revamped all of our new hire training content from our internal platform to an e-learning format in Rise 360. We then migrated all of the content into Stream University. So it was a pretty big undertaking, but well worth it. The fifth phase was the soft launch, which happened over the course of 2 weeks in June. We had around 500 users log into the platform, complete an intro e-learning, and take a detailed survey on their experience. The sixth phase was optimization. During this phase, we made improvements to the design, navigation, and overall user experience based on the feedback we received during the soft launch. The seventh phase was the launch, which just happened at the end of October. It ran similarly to the soft launch, but with all users. So again, 6,000 plus. We had them take the same survey, and we're very pleased to see an increase in ratings based on the improvements we made. And then last but not least, the eighth phase is ongoing optimization. This, during this phase, we are going to continue to make improvements and roll out new features in the platform. So throughout our implementation, I was constantly reminded of one thing: finding the balance between innovation and maintenance. So I'm sure many of you have heard this saying before. It's easy to get carried away with innovation without considering the level of effort to maintain it. We had to scale back some of our design ideas because of this. At the same time, don't get caught up with maintenance. Our previous platform that we were using before Docebo was way more efficient when it came to localization, but it was well worth it to increase in maintenance to move to a new LMS and e-learning tool. We were able to create a way more engaging and modern experience for our learners. And to conclude my presentation, I thought I'd share a few tips and tricks I learned during implementation. So the first one is related to CSS. Highly recommend making sure you have a resource on your team who knows how to isolate components of the Docebo UI using Web Inspector to avoid impacting other areas of the platform, and also make sure to back up your CSS using version control software like GitHub. We have like over 800 lines of CSS in our platform right now, so we are very mindful of keeping track of everything. The next one is related to HTML. So if you have to build out UI for multiple languages, I suggest using the HTML widget to reduce the number of pages and menus you have to create. The HTML widget allows you to create a different version for each language versus having to build out a whole new page. So even though we support 10 different languages, we only have one user dashboard to maintain. So it makes it a lot easier. And then the last one is related to API. So I highly recommend taking advantage of the robust Docebo API Explorer to speed up repetitive tasks. So as an example, we use the batch create courses API to create all language variations of a course at the same time versus doing each one manually. This has saved us quite a bit of time. So with that, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for letting me speak, and I look forward to answering any questions you have after the presentations have concluded. Back to you, Rob. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Appreciate it. Great to take a look into the platform and all of the custom work that you and your team have been doing. With that, I'd love to hand it over now to Alec from Acoustic. Alec, over to you.
Sure, thanks a lot. Welcome, everyone. I am Alek Oleszkiewicz. I'm leading customer training and solution enablement team in Acoustic. And maybe first, I will introduce ourselves. We are not as known as Netflix for sure, but about a year ago, a year and a half, you would probably recognize our logo because we came from IBM. We used to be IBM Watson Marketing Division. In July 2019, we were divested by IBM or purchased by Centerbridge Partners investment fund, and we created our own new company. We took about 1,000 employees from IBM, 3,500 customers, good recognition by analysts on the market, a great portfolio of products, which were a lot coming from different IBM's acquisitions like T-Leaf, Silverpop, Coremetrics. Some of those products were on the market since 1999 or year 2000, so well-established portfolio. However, when we created a new company, we had pretty much everything except of the technology to run our business. So our first task after separation was to create the whole technological stack to fulfill all of our needs. And one of those projects was related to the learning management system. This is what I was leading for the company. And we were in a pretty good position because we didn't have any heritage. So we're starting with a clean plate. Of course, there was an LMS that we were using as a part of IBM, but we decided not to continue with this system because of lots of limitations that we see there. We evaluated top 10 solutions on the market, and we decided to go with Docebo as the most versatile tool, which will let us fulfill in a single system all of our use cases. So first of all, customer training around our products, training for our partners, including sales enablement, and also all of the internal training and learning programs, both from sales enablement, HR, or any other parts of the organization. For us, as we had this global reach, it was important to have a lot of features and functions related to localization. So this was a big deal for us. Ability to white label, as you can see, and you will see later, we also spent lots of time writing our own CSS for the platform. I think it's closer to about 3,000 lines of code. If I remember correctly, we have good design team who was supporting us along this project. So we were able to really achieve a lot in terms of customizing the user experience. In terms of planning, how we want to enable customers, we used journey mapping tools or techniques. We designed those kind of journey maps for all of our audiences, starting from customers or actual users of our products, where we decided that we want to have some quick and easy training, which will let them start very quickly within 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours, and do some productive work. We want to have some business use cases, best practices training, which will inspire them, what they can do with our solutions, how they can make a best use for their organization in using the software. Then, of course, the actual meat of the learning, in-depth training for users, for administrators, for technical experts, covering all features and functions. Certification, confirming what people know. And finally, as we are a SAS company mostly, we want to have some training which will guide our users and customers on evaluating the business impact they got from using our solutions. So in the end of the year, they can evaluate and assess if they want to continue using the software or not. Similarly, we had journey maps for our sellers, for sales enablement, and for partners to make sure that the right training is provided to them in the right moment. Now, in terms of the platform itself, we of course spent lots of time on designing the system, but one of the first things we realized is, even though we tried to create this as easy, straightforward, and intuitive as possible, still some users expected more guidance. So we first created a single page of text with some introduction to our Acoustic Academy. And right now we have a 15 minutes course built in Adapt Learning, which is pretty nice, responsive, and interactive, allowing people to familiarize themselves with all of the features and functions. Actually, we put the link, enrollment link to this course to our welcome email to every new user. And we are inviting everyone to first learn about the Academy before they start using this. And in terms of the user experience for customers, we created a dedicated landing page where they are starting and they are guided to different product areas of the training. Many of our customers are using only one or two of our products, so it was reasonable to let them choose which product they want to learn about. Those are, of course, in the Docebo terms, combined into catalogs. And then on every product page, we are using first channels from Coach and Share, where we are sharing, our product managers are sharing some product news, our services team and practitioners are sharing some of the best practices. We have learning plans, which are built for different user roles, for business users, for administrators, technical experts. And we have, of course, specific courses and other assets. So people are guided in a similar structure as in our help center to the right area of the solution, and they are able to just look on the training which is most relevant for them in any particular moment. Our design team also created for us a whole visual language on how we will be labeling our courses. We didn't want to use any text on that to assure easier translation or internationalization of the content. So for each of our products, we have dedicated icons created. We are using colors to distinguish between different audiences. Blue is for business users, green is for administrators, violet is for technical experts, and gray is for cross-role training. And also we have different icons, different pictograms for different types of learning content, for learning plans, for e-learning, for virtual or webinars, and for maybe in future also classroom training. After we launched the part for customers, we pretty much immediately created dedicated place for our employees. There is a slightly different page which is opened to every employee of Acoustic. We also have dedicated partner and seller areas. How we are distinguishing employees, we integrated Docebo with our HR system, which is ADP. So we are actually having up-to-date information about all of our employees, who is their manager. So there is also dedicated managers section where manager can see what their team is learning, if there are any outdated courses or certifications. For partners, we are now working on integrating this with our Salesforce. It's still a work in progress, but should be done at some point in the next year. And in terms of the timeline, we selected Docebo in November 2019. We had soft launch in March 2020. At this point, we had about 100 courses, which we migrated from the previous system. Right now, we have already 200 courses on the system. We have almost 5,500 users. In IBM, we had 24,000 users, but of course, not everyone immediately jumped to the new system. In terms of the business results, you can see the screenshot from our old system on the left, which wasn't very appealing. We are measuring, and we were measuring customer satisfaction on every course. So there is a evaluation survey at the end of every course. Before the transition, the average score was about 3.6 in the scale from 1 to 5. And we are measuring net promoter score on learning plans. So once someone is completing a bigger chunk of learning, we ask this NPS question, and it used to be 7. Right now, the customer satisfaction is around 4.2 and our NPS is 66. So we are actually very satisfied with those outcomes. And said that, thanks a lot. I welcome everyone to visit our platform. You can register if you want to learn about our products or just take a look and see how we did it.
Thanks so much, Alec. Appreciate it. It's great to have that look and really beautifully designed. With that, we'll hop into our final panelist presentation. You can start putting your questions into the Q&A section. We'll just hit the answer live, and we'll be sure to get to those. Just don't make sure you don't want to forget those questions as we go through the final presentation of today. And so with that, Kelsey, over to you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the panel today. So a little bit about Wilson HCG. Again, also not as well known probably as Netflix is. And I don't know if you all heard the Netflix sound when the background first came on, but I know I do. So Wilson, we are a recruitment process outsource company. So anything recruitment or talent acquisition related, we are a strategic partner with companies around the world, and essentially take over everything talent related. You see our tagline, talent period. We are known as those talent leaders. We do have representation in clients and our employees across 6 continents, over 65 countries, and 50 plus languages represented amongst our employees, which is where our platform is essentially built for. We use it internally for about 600 employees globally, most of which are virtual, especially now during this year. A little bit about our journey. We actually implemented back in 2018. I was just telling the team before we started, we attended an Aspire, watched this actual or similar panel discussion and went back and redesigned. And really the focus for us moving from our previous LMS was increasing user adoption. So we really wanted to design something that our employees were going to enjoy, were going to find easy to use. And that was not the case with the previous system, where we only had employees logging in to take their required compliance courses, that annual course you have to take. We really wanted it to be somewhere where all of our employees could go to and learn. So we stuck with a simple design here where the main page is everything that employees need to know, that fits their role. So we have an employee page, main page, and then we also have a leader page. So if you have any direct reports, your experience looks a little different. You have access to a bit more information. So that was the focus for the implementation piece. Everybody loved it, the clean design. We made it so that it fit our brand. So it has our company colors. And we've made 2019 the focus on content. So building out the content, what all of our programs, so from our new hire program, leadership development, all the different development programs within the different roles in the company. And then giving access to all of that content to all employees, regardless of their role. 2019 was also the year of the new release in technology across the business. We've implemented a new applicant tracking system, a new HRIS system. So all of that we had to keep in mind. Again, in a global audience, hard to teach a lot of systems live. So we really relied on what we know as Docebo is our Innovate platform. And that bottom banner switches out essentially, and that's where we highlight whatever focus area or whatever new launch is coming out. Right now, we're focused on DE&I, so a lot of our employee belonging groups have come together and launched a True Allyship series, so that could all be found in that focus area on that main page. So when we design these pages, it's thinking, what do our employees need to know right now? What's front of mind? We align it with the business needs, and that is what essentially makes up, the experience for our employees. And then we have that button there, that Wilson HCG Learning Hub. this started to evolve from from an LMS to an employee engagement kind of platform where that button takes you to everything you need to know about Wilson from all of our development programs, but also technologies we use in resources, committees, ways to get involved. So again, just a great resource to have as we onboard new team members. Then this year, I think for everybody, learning how to be agile and kind of ease of use, because we know there were all the other external stressors, continuing to make the design just clean and just easy to help with that user experience, and then focusing on releasing more programs through the platform. So a few snapshots of some of our other pages. So ways to get involved. Here's that Learning Hub page I mentioned earlier, where members within our community, our One Wilson community, can either suggest or build a training. Again, we encourage that internally as well. Someone can become one of our trainers for one of our programs, or we have a peer guide program in our onboarding program for all new hires to just have that mentor and buddy. Then we have our unique sourcing hub, which is another cool page. This is where we've partnered with the business. We are a recruiting company, so encouraging our recruiters to search for talent wherever there are people, and people are everywhere. So you'll see some cool places and some of the courses we've built out in ways that you can find candidates in some of these sites. So again, when looking at the design, it's what's going to be consistent, clean, and easy to find information when employees need it, no matter what time zone they're in, and that they can kind of dedicate that time in their role, but still have some time for learning, and again, making that easy. And with that, I will hand it back over to you, Rob.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much across the board. Thank you to all of our presenters today. With that, let's jump right into our panel discussion. I think maybe my internet kind of went a little lag there on me, so I might have dropped off for a quick second. What we'll do for the Q&A section is we'll kind of go in kind of the round table circle as to what we had done before. So starting with Danielle and to Alec and then to Kelsey, we have a few questions that have come into the Q&A section. So the first question, and I think it's sort of a good place to start. One of our attendees today has said that their homepage is in need of a pretty serious refresh. It doesn't inspire joy. What are some of the elements that you think should be taken into consideration when you were designing your homepages for internal employees to really inspire that joy and get them involved?
Yeah, so I'll get us started. I think, it's really important to leverage aspects of your brand for things such as course tiles, if you're going to have that on your dashboard. So if you think back to the images I shared, we had fresh Netflix content for all of our course thumbnails, which kept things exciting. We also, part of our banner, and I realized that, you weren't able to see this because it was a static image, but we did build some movement into that banner. So the streaming lines behind the characters, they, kind of zoom in as a user opens Stream University. And then we also house all of the character images on a S3 server. So we're able to easily swap those out. And our plan is to do that on a quarterly basis so that we, again, keep things fresh and exciting. And yeah, you can add movement to your platform via HTML without impacting bandwidth too much. So yeah, we really try to incorporate our brand across those different areas.
Alex, same question over to you. What are some of those elements that you think should be taken into consideration when designing homepages for those internal employees?
Sure. Yeah, actually, we took the same approach for internal as well for external parties. And our main goal was to make it as easy or as quick as possible to reach the right content for every person's role. So when you go to our internal employee page, there is immediately a link to the sales enablement area for sellers. There is a link to product enablement area. There is a link to partner enablement content. So employees can also review what partners are able to see on our platform. There are some elements like a compliance training that we are running right now, which is of course available immediately from the homepage. But generally, we were looking for simplicity and role-based access paths or journeys through the system.
Yeah, and I would say the same kind of the theme we're hearing here is easy to find information. I think we partner with our marketing team, so whatever branding we use internally for other initiatives, we also use those same designs when considering what to put on the homepage. But as you saw, we also did a lot of employee surveys to see what is going to motivate people to go and learn, because we want to keep our learning culture. So we take that feedback, and that's where the learning hub came from. Having the my courses button there, so just that ease of access and putting on the page what employees want to see have really helped us drive that engagement on the platform, where we're in a lot better place than we were previously.
A question that I think, often comes up both in these types of sessions, but in my experience and just in speaking with Docebo customers and L&D teams in general, is the question of staffing and the resources that you have available to you. So the question here for each of your teams, do you have a specific web developer role, or is the code and the customization, is that managed by an instructional designer or somebody directly on the L&D team?
Yeah, so on my team, we have a digital learning developer who has a background in coding. So he handles a lot of our API automations. We have a visual designer who will manage all of the CSS. And then, we also have an engineering resource who isn't full-time on the team, but, we're able to leverage him for more complex integration. So I mentioned that we have an automated user data export from our CRM. So he was the one to code that, which, that runs daily and that keeps all of our user data up to date.
Kelsey, same question over to you. Then we can jump over to Alex. What does the staffing structure look like for the design elements?
So that is where we do not have dedicated staff. We partner anything API related with our internal tech team. Anything marketing or visual related that we need designed, we lean on our marketing team. And we just have a collaborative environment. Then our L&D team manages admin on the back end, but we're a much smaller team spread out globally, but we partner with other parts of the business that just have that expertise, and then we can manage what that looks like on the user end and the admin perspective on Docebo.
Sure. Alex, same question for you. I mean, there's quite a few design elements going on in your platform, and I think you exceeded the level of lines of code too from the first presentation. So what's the management look like for that?
Yeah, so actually we worked closely with our content and UI design team for our products. We are developing and marketing companies, so we have lots of brilliant people in the organization. They prepared for us all of the initial white labeling content, as they were also white labeling all of the other customer facing portals. So this was very consistent. Then for the ongoing maintenance, I would say I have enough web development experience. I have one person with the technical experience as well on the team, so we are able to maintain this ourselves. We do not rely on many external sources. But for example, if we need new icon, new design elements visually, we are asking our design team. So it's still all of the internal work. We don't use any third parties as much as possible.
Sure. Taking a step back, and within the last 2 to 3 years, all of our panelists have gone through the implementation process. One of the questions that came up is, what were some of the biggest challenges of your successful implementations that are kind of worth sharing? Both what maybe just sort of identify what was one of the bigger challenges, and then how you overcame it to have that successful implementation.
So I would say our implementation went pretty smoothly. And, I think that was largely due to the fact that I had just gotten off another Docebo implementation at my previous company, which was a very similar use case. So I was able to carry over a lot of those findings to Netflix, which was helpful. I think One thing that I wish, we would have strategized around, a bit earlier in our implementation process is putting some sort of escalation process in place. So when agents run into any issues in the platform, what does that process look like? If you don't have something, in place, then it's very easy to just get bombarded with all of these things happening. So we ended up putting kind of like a filter process in place. We created a KB article for agents to self troubleshoot any issues they come across. And then if they did have to raise it to someone, they would raise it to site leadership, who are power users. We were able to equip them with a toolkit to, help with troubleshooting. And then if they were unable to do that, then it was passed internally to us. So at this point, during our launch, which again was end of October to today, we've had a total of 8 issues escalated, again, with over 6,000 users. So it's been pretty successful. But again, it took us some time to realize we needed that process in place.
Yeah, Alex, same question over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think for us, the biggest challenges were very specific to our organization, because all of the other IT systems and customer portals were being created at the same time as we were configuring Docebo. So even for things like single sign-on, even a week before go live, we didn't yet have everything configured. So we had a lot of contingency in the planning to be able to go live without those other systems. And as soon as they were operational, we were able to build those connections or enable those connections. So those challenges were rather specific here. ADP and our HR integration we just launched in September. We already had employee accounts earlier based on their email addresses. So we also used some APIs, some tools, which were automatically detecting some of our accounts or upgrading partner accounts. There was a lot of things that we need to create to fulfill those gaps, which just didn't exist yet when we were setting up the system.
And I would say, we implemented, now it's going to be 2 years, but we actually didn't do a soft launch. We literally just turned off the old LMS and turned on the new one. And there were, working out a lot of the kinks on the front end, just moving everyone over. I would say the other challenge was we focused so much on the design and just kind of forgot about the content, which is why you saw that 2019 was really focused on beefing up the content and what was available in there. So we had this great looking platform and then didn't consider what was on there. So not so much a design issue, more of, making sure that for driving engagement, that there was content on there that was available to everybody, regardless of their role. So those are just some of ours.
Sorry, I was on mute. I think there's a lot to be said about that too, where you can design and structure this incredible program, but if that program isn't leading into effective and impactful content, it's kind of it can be a pretty big miss there. An interesting question here, and I think it's a good question, especially for those who are on the call who are either looking to purchase their LMS, or they're looking maybe in certain ways to upgrade and do certain things with it. The question's about getting buy-in, and they'd be interested to hear a little bit about sort of the business case that you built and your team built to show the value, both prior to bringing on Docebo, but then on an ongoing basis. And Alec, you kind of spoke a little bit to this with the NPS and the CSAT. But if you each could tell us a little bit about how you built that business case and continue to demonstrate the value to those sort of who have the buy-in controls and need to be maybe convinced.
I think it was pretty easy for us. There was many things that were lagging behind when we were part of IBM. Some of the training assets were from 5 years old, 3 years old. They were not refreshed. So actually just moving those old assets to a new platform, beautifully designed and actually guiding people to the right places, it immediately increased our customer satisfaction by at least 0.2 or 0.3 point. Yeah? Then updating assets to our new branding, to refreshing all of that was highly demanded. Actually, I was getting calls from our customer success team, even on LinkedIn, from some of our customers, when we will have this training available. People were just looking to learn about our products, learn about new features in our products. So from that perspective, there was a lot of demand on the market for us, which we just had to fulfill. In terms of the internal assets like sales enablement, we were looking together with the sales enablement team on making this engaging and kind of a collaborative, allowing our sales engineers to upload their demos, their best practices to channels and share this with others. That's still, work in progress, but we see that it's building some more engagement where people can not only consume, but also contribute the content to the platform.
A big driver for us in getting that buy-in is our expansion globally. So where we only had North America and EMEA, we were expanding into APAC, and we needed to be able to provide all of our training programs to not only scale the size of our business, but also the continued global expansion. So selling the capabilities that the platform would provide and being able to put on existing, continue to build programs, and also encourage our employees, because our internal SMEs do help build content. So keeping that learning culture going, we added that as a use case to kind of get that buy-in, and ultimately helped us make the switch.
And for me at Netflix, I actually joined the team shortly after the project had been approved. So I think it was just a matter of, building up a team that could accommodate this implementation. I think our cross-functional partners were eager to have something new. Prior to Docebo, we were using an internally built platform, which was very bare bones and had very limited tracking and reporting capabilities. So I know that was a big use case, was okay, yeah, we can actually track and report on our agents and know what they're doing and compare them to their KPIs. So I don't think it was too difficult. Again, it was just about having a team to be able to take it on.
One of the questions that came up right off the bat, and I think there was some excitement in Netflix, in that Netflix is often, a case study, a use case example that L&D teams use, that they're like, I want to have the Netflix feel, or the Netflix of learning feel. And I think that relates a lot to the sort of the on-demand feel, and the, not necessarily just top-down push learning, but I can go and access learning on my own time, in my own space. And I think each of your programs are doing that in their own right. How do you create a platform that's both equally engaging, but also just has the elements that makes people want to go in and find their own learning opportunities? And I think you spoke a little bit to that, but maybe just diving in a little bit deeper on how you create that sort of on-demand feel and encourage that type of self-discovery learning.
Yeah, so I think for us, it's, it is a combination of, yes, there are going to be certain mandatory trainings. Our product changes a lot, and we always want to make sure that our agents are providing the best possible customer service and have the most accurate information. But, with the continuous learning library we rolled out, that is not something that we had prior to Docebo. So the fact that we are giving agents autonomy to go in and choose a course to help themselves develop is a huge win for us. So basically the setup is they get 15 minutes a week that they are able to go in and explore this continuous learning library. And we are constantly adding new courses. We have them organized in rows so they can, choose an area they think they need to improve in and go in and enroll in that content. We also, because our content is now created in a new e-learning tool, whereas before it was simply static text on a page, maybe some tabs, like it does seem like agents are very interested in this new way of learning. So it's been a very positive experience for them.
Yeah, for us, there are actually a couple of components to nurture the usage of the platform. One thing are those role-based learning programs. We see that people like to be guided, and it needs to be easy for them to know what to do next. And actually, we do run some statistics about the average number of courses taken by an active user per month. And this is around 2, sometimes in some months it was even close to 3. So Docebo AI, which is recommending the next courses, plus the learning plans are helping a lot to drive people to the next interesting asset that they want to learn about. And on the other hand, what we created, we let people subscribe to product-based newsletters. So part of their profile on Docebo, they can enable some subscriptions on their accounts. And whenever we have a new training related to one of those products, we are sending a newsletter to those who are interested. And we see that this is also driving a lot of traffic. We are tracking this with Google Analytics. So we can see that those newsletters are actually also generating a lot of click-throughs to our content.
We do something similar with the newsletter and just highlighting what's new during the holiday season. Right now, we have 12 days of learning. So we have our recommendations of content and asking everyone to spend the 5 minutes. We do 5 minutes a day. So it doesn't seem like it's going to consume too much time. We also have a global all-in call where our entire employee population is invited to this call. And each kind of department does business updates. So we highlight new content there. But I also think our course catalog page, so we have it divided by just key areas of the business or key topics that we know everybody wants to learn about. And then last is we do have some internal certification programs. I know we recently applied for an award for one, but those also help drive some interest in terms of recruiters are able to go and learn about different industries. We don't hide any of that content from anybody. We definitely promote for all of our programs. It doesn't matter what role you're in, what you want to learn, you have access to everything. And that seemed to help with making sure that those learners stay engaged.
That's great. So a question that came up here, and I'm not sure any of our panelists are necessarily doing this, but you might have thoughts on it. The solutions that we've kind of covered today have really focused on the sort of the individual learning experiences. And somebody was curious, how about group-based learning? Do you have any thoughts on how to digitally go about group-based learning experiences?
I can start with that. I mean, we don't do much of this kind of experiential online kind of collaborative learning, something you can think like a social media or co-watching Netflix movies. But we do virtual instructor-led classes, which are named webinars in Docebo. We encourage our own experts in the company to present as speakers. And those are typically available to customers and partners, whoever want to subscribe to this. So we try to build some community, build also credibility, build image of those people, let them show their expertise. Yeah, so that's the way how we try to encourage people and also build some community around learning. And the other thing, we are also connecting our courses in Docebo to our online forums and community that we have on the other system, where customers are collaborating or exchanging ideas with each other. So for actually almost every course, we try to create a separate thread on the community and also ask people if they have anything to share, any ideas to collaborate, to exchange, to answer maybe others' questions. That's not very active, but there are some activities around this. So we hope it will kind of start working better over time.
I mean, yeah, something we've done is looking at having live workshops as a follow-up to something that's maybe housed in the platform. So to give everyone an example, we did an unconscious bias course where the individual reflection exercise was housed on the platform. And then that was followed up with a live group discussion, not just on the exercise, but just kind of talking through the subject matter. So we've used it that way, but not necessarily done kind of like group learning on the platform, just followed up with group learning after those individual courses are taken.
So our, oh, sorry, Rob.
No, sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, I was just going to say our agent new hire training, which I shared earlier, it's a learning plan made up of 10 courses. That is a blended experience for our agents. So even though we don't have it set up as a classroom course, it's simply just a regular e-learning course. Some of those courses they will complete independently, but then others they will be on, a Zoom call and they'll be going through it with a trainer. So we include a lot of role plays within that content. So they might, break off into groups and role play with another agent. So I think it's a little unique in that we're not using the classroom setup, but it's been working really well, especially since a lot of our agents are still working from home at this point.
Great. Just a couple of final questions here. One, and I might be able to answer this, but I'm curious if there's any other tools that you're using. Is which e-learning authoring tool is being used by each organization? You can just quickly go around the circle and let us know which e-learning authoring tools you're using for the audience.
So we're using the Articulate 360 suite of tools, largely the RISE platform. And then our digital learning developer does a lot of custom simulations and interactions for us using his own methodology.
Yeah, we are using TechSmith Camtasia for most of the video content. We are using Adobe Captivate for software simulations and Adapt Learning recently for some more text-based courses.
We actually do not use an authoring tool. Everything on there is built using the resources we have. So through different PowerPoints, we use the assignment feature on Docebo, testing, surveys. And again, we do a lot of work hands-on through our live workshops. So we actually don't have an authoring tool.
Well, with that, once again, I want to thank all three of you for joining us today. We're going to close out today's session. This is the final one for the year. So I thank everybody who's on this call and who's joined all of these sessions throughout the year. And also want to extend a big thank you to all of our customers who've submitted for the Road to Inspire Learning Awards. We're very excited about those. Finalists will be announced on January 29th. And with that, thank you to our panelists and thank you to all who attended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.